What is up, everybody? Welcome back to RC's Gateway to Comics. Today we are going to be talking about how you are going to build an ensemble cast for your story. Now, this is sort of dependent on whether your story has an ensemble cast or if you decide to have a lot of different characters in your story. For me, in my story, I have the point of view jumping around to like several different characters throughout the story. It sort of plays out like a movie in my head, and there's different like cuts in it, but I need to have different characters that can be followed in the story. And with it being a pirate story, I have to have the pirate crew all ready to pretty much sail the seas. And with that ensemble, I needed to know how I'm going to distinguish these characters from one another. And this is something that you can use for your ensemble cast as well. And this is, and there are several things that you can use to make that distinction. The first one would be how your character looks. Now, for me, with my pirate crew, I have young pirates and I have old pirates. I have some pirates who are a bit more distinguished than others, and I have some that are just completely ragged, insane men. With all of that in mind, I still have to decide how these characters are going to carry themselves, how their relationships with each other are going to build, which ones of them are better friends with the other. I have two characters who tend to hang out a lot on the ship. They're named Coral Jack and Ripper, the boatswain and the master gunner. Both of them tend to appear in scenes together, and they're sort of like best buddies. So having that characterization with those two characters helps them to stand out from the rest of the cast. Now, there is another way that you can distinguish between characters, and that is dialogue. Now, the dialogue in my books tends to have some speech quirks, I guess you can say. With the pirates, they speak in a bit more rushed language, and they're not too specific with their words. They also have different ways of saying things. Like they say "yer," or pretty much think of a way that a pirate says a word, like "I matey," and that's usually what constitutes a lot of their dialogue. Not the "I am matey" part, but they speak like what a pirate would speak like. They're not distinguished. They use um, they say stuff like "ain't," that sort of little speech quirks that they may have. They say "yeah," "yay," "ye," however, however, however you say "ye," and some say "ya." Different little things that may not stick out a lot, but it is stuff that sticks out whenever you're comparing them to other characters in the book. Now, with the main character, Captain Riggs, I decided to give him his own special quirk whenever he's speaking to help distinguish him from others whenever it comes to like group conversations. And that is whenever he's speaking and a word ends in ing, he'll just eliminate the G and say, like, if he is saying killing, he'll say killin'. Or speaking. Having that little differentiation helps him to stand out in a group conversation in the ensemble cast without even having to say stuff like Riggs said or Riggs replied. Because you already know from the many times that you've already heard his speech patterns that this is what Riggs sounds like. Now, another way that you can differentiate the characters and build an ensemble cast is to have different groups of characters in your story. So I've just covered the pirate crew, but in the story there's several different areas of the story that you're going to encounter characters. You have the pirate crew, you have the navy ships and the sailors on that, and you have the sort of more like uptight Englishmen who are who take who inhabit like the place where who inhabit the hometown of the Commodore and his daughter and his family. So all of these are different, and they all have different speech patterns, and how they hold themselves are all entirely different. Obviously, the pirates are they're the they are not law abiding, and they speak however they want and say whatever they want. So they have a different way of characterizing themselves. And that sets them at odds with sort of the more prim and proper Englishmen. And it's also a way of showing, on more of a one-on-one scale, the complications of having Riggs trying to court the daughter of the Commodore. Her name is Julia. And that difference between them is something that will slowly bring them both together until the end of the book. And you'll see how that builds their relationship and how they learn from each other. So, being able to have all these different parts of an ensemble cast and have them sort of make up the different pieces of your story, it can help the reader dive even further into your story universe and feel like they are a part of it. Because even whenever you go out into the real world, I can go out and I can go to my workplace, and I can go to my church, and I can go to, I don't know, just throwing out a place. I can go to like an escape room. And the people that I meet in all these different places are going to be entirely different. They're going to hold themselves differently. Some people may be more extroverted, some people may be more introverted. They may dress a different way, they may act a different way. All of this stuff is present in an ensemble cast, and it helps you to create unique characters. I can say for myself that none of the characters in my stories feel like carbon copies of each other, because they all have different personalities, they all hold themselves differently, they all have their own past and future that they want to get to. They all have their own relationships, they all have their own unique speech, and they all have their own ways of identifying themselves. So, if you want to have a successful ensemble cast, find ways to differentiate your characters, whether that be appearance or speech patterns or how they hold themselves or societal status or anything. Find ways to make each one of them have a unique sense to them. It can be a slight uniqueness, any kind at all. But just make sure that there is difference, because that will show the reader that this cast is very much like what it is in real life, because no one out there is the exact same as someone else. What are you guys' thoughts on building an ensemble cast? Do you have similar thoughts to this? Have you sort of gone through the same creation process? I'm curious to hear that, so please leave any sort of thoughts on it down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel so we can continue to bring more lessons to you guys about comics, the creative process, writing, and eventually at some point I will be getting to doing art stuff as well. Also, if you enjoy pirate stories, then check out my 5-book-long fiction story, the Red Sky series. They are all 5 available on Amazon and Kindle. And if you do decide to check them out, then I hope that you enjoy them. Thank you guys all for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. Peace out.